It was a sublime weekend for Lando Norris at Imola as he drove superbly to take his second career podium, to come back so well from a challenging situation in qualifying where his Q3 time was deleted. It shows just how far Lando Norris has come as he embarks on his third season in the sport. Amongst all this, there's been huge anticipation for this season looking at Norris's new teammate at McLaren, Daniel Ricciardo, and what this means for the British driver. But based on his first two performances, Norris looks like he's taken yet another step to become one of the best. So I thought I'd have a look at whether 2021 is Lando Norris's breakout year. Let's have a look. My name's Andy and this is Behind the Drive. Lando Norris's performance at the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix has been described as his best performance to date in Formula 1. With challenging conditions making it a tricky race, he didn't put a foot wrong, having had a challenging qualifying session just the day before. It makes 2 out of 2 races that he's impressed so far in 2021, but it isn't the only place that he's excelled. In this video I'll also look at how in the last 12 months, the 21-year-old has also set up his own gaming and lifestyle brand, Quadrant. And as always, if you do enjoy this video then make sure to leave it a like and subscribe for more videos like this one in the future. Norris's racing progression. Joining Formula 1 in 2019, Lando Norris had joined the sport as the 2017 Formula 3 European champion and the 2018 Formula 2 runner-up, so his talent was clear to see based on his junior record. He joined a struggling McLaren team that had achieved some of their worst results over the last 5 years in the new hybrid power unit regulations. 2019 was a year where McLaren's outlook changed. During the build-up to both the 2017 and 2018 seasons, the message from the team was optimistic, with the view being that the team would turn a corner that year and get back to the front of the grid. And in 2017, the team ended up languishing in 9th, and in 2018 the team only recovered to 6th. So on both occasions there was a huge amount of optimism at the start of the season to just be let down and disappointed by the end of the year. For 2019 though, that narrative changed, with the CEO, Zak Brown, describing the season as a rebuilding process and a journey. It was cautious from the team as they revealed their new drivers in Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz, replacing the outgoing Fernando Alonso and Stoffel Vandoorne. Alongside this, Andreas Seidel was announced as the outfit's new team principal early on in 2019, and Brown added that he wasn't expecting the McLaren team to catch up with the top 2 or 3 teams until the new regulations, which at the time were of course scheduled for this 2021 season. 2019 though was the step that Woking team had wanted, as they took 4th in the Constructors' Championship, with Carlos Sainz ending up 6th in the championship and Norris finishing 11th. It was a close battle in qualifying between the two drivers, with Norris taking it 11-10 over the course of the season. So, it was Carlos Sainz that had really impressed by taking a lead role at the team throughout the first season, topping it off with the podium finish at the penultimate race of the year, his first top 3 finish of the Spaniard's career. 2020 represented yet another step forward for the team, although this came more from Ferrari ahead of them falling behind, rather than the team making significant improvements. Given the global pandemic, it was novel circumstances in the 2020 season, and the McLaren team hit the ground running, with Lando Norris's first career podium in just the first race of the season. This success came alongside a change in his approach to Formula 1 between his debut and second season, as Norris admitted that he'd been too relaxed and had too much fun in his first season in the sport. And I think this helped with his relationship with Sainz. The pair had built up a friendship, and I'm confident that if Norris had been more competitive with the Spaniard during the 2019 season in the races, they would have never built the foundations of the friendship that they now have. Which is perhaps a reason that we may not see the same kind of dynamic between Norris and Ricciardo, but that's a point to look at later in this video. 2020 continued to be a successful year for Norris as he improved his consistency throughout the season, and ended up just 8 championship points behind Sainz come the end of the shortened season in Abu Dhabi, with Norris scoring 97 to Sainz's 105. This consistency from both drivers combined allowed the team to achieve their best Constructors' Championship finish since 2012, ending up 3rd. So looking at Norris's first couple of seasons in Formula 1, it's safe to say that he's impressed all round, and showed noticeable improvement in his driving ability from his first to his second year. Yes, he was fortunate to be in a car that he could prove this quite easily, especially when you compare him to the likes of George Russell, who joined at the same year for example. but I think his racing performances throughout 2020 had made sure he was a well-respected driver on the grid. The 2021 season so far. And then comes 2021, which represented the first real change in his Formula 1 career, as he gained a new teammate in Daniel Ricciardo, who had more experience and has achieved more success than Carlos Sainz, with 7 race wins to his name. And even though we're only 2 races into this season, I think a number of people will be surprised by the results so far. Of the 7 new team partnerships on the grid this year, arguably the McLaren lineup was the one that was most anticipated by Formula 1 fans, with Lando Norris, who as we've seen already had done a solid job and built up a good reputation within the paddock. And then there was Ricciardo, who's seen as one of the best drivers in the field and has gained a bit of a reputation of comfortably beating his teammates lately, including the likes of Esteban Ocon, Nico Hülkenberg and Sebastian Vettel. Not to mention his ability to compete with Max Verstappen when he was at Red Bull. Coming into the 2021 season, both Norris and Ricciardo were looking to assert themselves as the number 1 driver of the team. At the launch of the car, Lando said he had a huge responsibility to lead the team, given he knows the McLaren team well, having been there for a couple of years already. It's an interesting comment as Norris clearly wanted to publicly state that his goal was to be the team leader at McLaren and beat Ricciardo over the course of the season. And it's an important time for the team. McLaren perhaps have their best shot at becoming a top team again in Formula 1 next year, as the new aero regulations come into force. Being seen as a top driver at that team is crucial for 2022, as if they do end up in a championship fight, they both want to be the driver that's out in front and can go for the championship victory. At the 2 races of the season so far in Bahrain and Italy, the McLaren car has looked pretty good, and looks like it will be competing with Ferrari for 3rd place in the championship as things stand right now. So far though, it's Norris that's been the standout performer for the Papaya team, as he sits on 27 points to Ricciardo's 14. Now it must be said that Ricciardo is getting up to speed and learning how his new team and car works. And it's also worth noting that at this stage in the 2019 season, where he ended up confidently beating Nico Hülkenberg in his first season after joining Renault, he'd had 2 DNFs, so it isn't worth reading into the teammate battle too much at this stage. But looking at Norris's performances alone, he qualified 7th to recover to 4th in the race after a great start in Bahrain, where he was even competing with the likes of Valtteri Bottas. It meant he was the last driver to keep the quicker Red Bull of Sergio Perez behind him, as the Mexican driver recovered from his forced pit lane start. And then you have Imola and the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, where Norris didn't put a foot wrong in the tricky changeable conditions of the race. After a challenging Saturday qualifying, where he had the potential to put his car 3rd on the grid on pace, only to have it taken away for breaking track limit rules, he recovered superbly to achieve that 3rd place result when it counted on Sunday. He did it when so many more experienced drivers on the grid made errors, including the likes of Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen and even his old teammate Carlos Sainz. Norris's ability to manage the tyres better than his teammate allowed him to get the team orders to let him through near the start, and that gave him and the team confidence to go for the soft tyres after the red flag restart, which turned out to be a great decision as he got past Leclerc and ran 2nd until Lewis Hamilton got him towards the end of the race, as his tyres started to drop off. It was a thoroughly deserved result, and I think it lays down a marker to say that he really means business this year and is out to be the best. Personally, I think he's the biggest challenge that Daniel Ricciardo's been up against since leaving Red Bull. As a team, the McLaren outfit's in a position to potentially challenge Red Bull and Mercedes on occasions this year, as Lando almost achieved that in qualifying at Imola. And certainly compared to last year, the team's less likely to be challenged by some of the midfield teams like Aston Martin or Alpine compared to last season. If the opportunity arises, which given it's a 23 race season it probably will, I wouldn't put it past McLaren to achieve a race win for the first time since Lewis Hamilton last won for the team back in 2012. It's amazing to see the Woking outfit back where they belong at the front of the grid, and it's great that Norris has been able to be part of that recovery process since 2019. Norris's off-track activities. So 2021 has not only brought success on the track for Norris, but he's also successfully set up a new gaming and lifestyle brand, Quadrant. Back in November of last year, the brand was launched, and now their YouTube channel has amassed almost 200,000 subscribers and gained almost 6 million views. So from a YouTube content perspective, it's been a massive success. The brand originated from Lando's successful streaming side career that he started during the first lockdown in the UK last year, when the Formula 1 season had been postponed. The idea of connecting with the fans planted the seed for the brand to grow, and later in the year he created the brand with the 4 key pillars, which are gaming, racing, content, and apparel. For me, the brand represents Lando's desires to stand out within the paddock by doing something that not many other drivers have done before, particularly at such a young age. Plus, it creates a brand that he's quite clearly proud of and displays right on the front of his helmet at each and every race. I remember he once told an anecdote on a stream saying that he once designed his own apparel to be told off by the team, so I think in a way creating Quadrant was a way around this and expressing the young British driver's personality in a way that we haven't seen before, particularly with such a large online presence. So certainly off the track, I think Lando Norris's brand is growing. So overall, I think that 2021 represents a massive year for Lando Norris. Not only is he facing the biggest test of his career up against Daniel Ricciardo, but he's also developing his own skills in becoming a team leader and challenging right up at the sharp end of the Formula 1 grid. I think he's proven his worth in the F1 paddock already, and I expect his season to go from strength to strength. With Quadrant, he's created a personal brand that connects with so many people in a way that I don't think many other drivers have done before, which is both fantastic for him and fantastic for the sport. What do you think about Lando's 2021 season prospects and whether it's his breakout year? Let me know in the comment section, and if you enjoyed this video and watched this far, then thanks for watching, and if you want to, then please do leave it a like, and hit the subscribe button for more F1 related content in the future.